Welcome to What the Flick, everybody. Ben Mankiewicz, Christy, Lemire, Alonso, Duralde, Matt Atchity. The sort of sequel to Knocked Up, which is a funny little tag headline they have on this movie. I love Leslie Mann, but this is I guess her first sort of, she's asked to carry a movie.
Yes, wife of Judd Apatow. And their kids are in this movie too. So this follows the Paul Rudd and Leslie Mann characters from Knocked Up. It's the 3-week period or so between both of their 40th birthdays and how they deal with kids and marriage and sex and money and all the stuff that we deal with when we turn 40. Take a look.
Why does it say 38 and not 40?
Because your mom wants to be 38. Let's not mention it again.
In form, you said you were born in 1974, but your paper, it said 72.
It's 1974.
Oh, wait. On your last form, you said that you were born in 1975.
I've been working on my rewrite.
I say we because I actually am 40. I'm the only one at the table who is 40.
Who's actually
Who is 40.
Only 40, yeah.
Big baby. Yeah, I don't know. I am not looking forward to turning 40.
It'll happen in about 10 years or
Yeah,
so.
totally. Yeah. So this was.
I don't want to turn 30.
Good.
I found myself throughout this movie desperately wanting to laugh and like it more than I did. Throughout, consistently, because I'm a big admirer of Judd Apatow. I'm a huge admirer of Paul Rudd, who I think has a lot of Cary Grant in him, and I love Leslie Mann. There's like everything was here for me to love, but I found myself kind of wanting to more than I actually did.
But it's meant to make you feel very uncomfortable. Quite often.
Yes.
Those conversations they had are raw and painful and awkward, and you're supposed to feel uncomfortable.
I got it, but they didn't feel right to me. Like I love being made uncomfortable. I go through most of my life feeling uncomfortable.
That's why you do this show.
That's right. That's right. We're about to have an uncomfortable moment. Yeah. So I don't know. They didn't register with me. I thought they seemed forced and not true.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I feel like that. I think Apatow's so funny, and when this movie is doing the stuff that he does, the sort of, adults sort of gracelessly leaving childhood and going further into adulthood, or the potty mouth stuff, that's hilarious, and it works. But I think that there's the problem with this movie is that it wants to be about these serious issues about middle age and money and family and love and blah blah blah. And it all seems to be coming from this very sort of Brentwood bubble that Judd Apatow and Leslie Mann apparently live in, because they seem to think that, oh gosh, we're having financial problems, and you're looking at their house and there's this incredible contemporary art on all the walls. Right, you own a $6 million house in Brentwood.
Yeah,
But they can't afford it.
Nonetheless, but they have all this other stuff that they could be selling and like making ends meet. It's kind of hard in this day and age, in this economy, to feel a lot of pity for this guy who left his job at Sony so he could start his own label and do these sort of like niche, bands that he likes. This is 40 if I'm the 1%.
Yeah,
and she has a little shop, which is like such the LA wife thing, I don't know. So some of it just kind of felt to me like this, like first world problems, the movie, basically. Right, in a way that Knocked Up doesn't do. Yes, right? no, absolutely. Knocked Up, and you have like the slacker guys, and they're all sharing a house, and on top of each other and whatever. But in this movie, it just their problems felt very. Very niche.
Precious?
And
very precious.
And we're all prepared to accept that those people in that situation could have the same kind of problems that everybody else has. It's okay to have sex problems, it's okay to have money problems. Maybe you'd have to go back, work for the label. But somehow, because of the context with which we're given, including their jobs and the shop and the artwork and the fact that their house is great, it didn't feel authentic to me, any of their conversations. It felt like an effort to show you what these conversations would be like, rather than actually us feeling them in any legitimate
Some
way.
of those conversations I found to be about, like when they're in the car talking about like, I fucking hate the kids sometimes. Like I thought that was funny, when the older daughter was like, you're acting like a B. F this S, like her rant where she's not actually swearing. I thought there were pockets of this that I thought were really funny. No, absolutely.
I agree.
The daughters are good. It seems self-indulgent to put your wife and your kids in this movie, but I think the daughters are both really
I have to
good.
say, I was a little creeped out that like he cast his wife and his daughters, and his wife gets topless in the film. I was like,
Oh
must be
yeah,
my
a
Midwest
couple times.
sensibility.
A couple of times. One is like her trying to be sexy, and one is just at the doctor's office.
She keeps showing off.
The daughters are going to see this movie. So.
Not that I noticed, but she keeps showing off her right boob.
Maybe
she must like that one better.
She's right. She's well right.
She's right boob dominant.
She knows what side favors the camera.
I freaking adore her. I love her. Huge crush on her for a long time. But then, like this time, I found her character. Maybe this is a guy. I don't know. Was she identifiable to you? I thought she was a little too shrill here for me to like her the way I think I was supposed to sympathize with her.
She's a little screechy and a little needy.
Yeah.
But I thought she was much toned down from where she was in Knocked Up, or the character she plays in Big Daddy.
Yeah, but she's
like in Big Daddy, she's really a shrew.
Yeah, but she's so freaking funny.
Well,
it seemed this was like shrility in the place of being funny.
And it kind of feels like at some point the movie decides they're going to blame everything that's happening in their lives on their parents. But what we learn from the parents and about them doesn't really seem to hew to what the problems they're having. And I didn't get what the link was. It just felt like an easy cop out. Like, it's my dad's fault.
I think that's exactly the point of it. Is that it is an easy cop out, and that's where they are mentally at that point in terms of needing to justify their own failures. It's not accurate. It's their perception in that moment. It's their deflection.
That's where I am right now.
No, but you know what I mean? Like I don't think it's endorsing that notion of like blame your parents. I think that's where they are in terms of coping and understanding their situation.
It's worth noting if you're a fan of Knocked Up, Seth Rogen's character is mentioned once, but neither he nor Katherine Heigl ever appear in this
But
film.
Jason Segel's in it.
Jason Segel's good. He's funny. Yeah.
You know who's good in this? Megan Fox.
Megan Fox.
Surprisingly funny.
She is the new Jane Mansfield in that she gets the joke, and when a movie is like drooling over her body, it doesn't feel gross because it feels like she's in on the joke, and she and is empowered in a way because the joke is really all the slack-jawed guys being all about her.
Yeah, no, she has surprisingly good timing. I don't think she was ever afforded at any other point in her career.
Even in that awful Friends with Kids, she was funny, and she's funny here.
So go for Megan Fox.
All right,
who's not 40.
Well, you can always go for Megan Fox. Let's do numbers, Matt. 7.5.
7.5. Why do I even bother?
Because I knew you didn't know.
6.3.
All right.
6.5.
I because of this conversation, because I pulled it up a little. I went from a 5 because I was really disappointed. I wanted to like it so much more than I did, but it's okay. And there were enough funny moments because these are all really quality people.
Yeah.
So I pulled it up to 6, and that makes it, I think, on the fly, 6.6.
Okay.
Does Alonso not approve of your math here?
Come on. 6.6.
I can't.
Yes,
The pressure!
Basically,
You're
6.6.
psyching me out.
Math for film critics.
All right, thanks, guys.
Bye.